Namo Shakyamuni Buddha. So today we continue to study about the Four Noble Truth, the second Noble Truth, the cause of sufferings. Last time we discussed about the anger as one of the three primary causes of sufferings. That means anger, attachment or craving, and ignorance. So last time we talked briefly about the anger, and so today we continue to discuss about this cause. The Buddha mentioned that this is the root of our sufferings. Without this root, we would have the peacefulness and happiness. So let us go over again the cause of suffering, that anger. Let me share the screen. So basically, we get angry because our expectations, our desire, and our attachment are not matched, are not fulfilled. So that's why we get angry, because of something happening. So that's why the more we expect things, the easier it is to get frustrated or angry. So there are varieties of intensity, from mild irritation to intense fury. So it can be sparked by many things like people, event, memories, personal problems, or we can perceive the threat that may or may not be real. That's why where anger comes from. And anger can be collective in both cause and effect. A group can be angry at other groups. A nation can be angry at other nations. Like the current situations, we have the two main political denominations or groups in the world, capitalism and communism. We have nations can be angry at other nations, like the big nation may try to dominate the smaller one, and that's why the smaller ones have anger toward those nations. And angry can be positive, emotional force if expressed constructively by expressing grief, so that they can be addressed, remain focused on problem solving, and social change. But still, the Buddha reminds us that we need to be careful about the toxins of anger. Sometimes we may be angry because someone has done things wrong, but still, if we harbor that type of anger, eventually it may manifest through our action and not speak. It may be harm, may bring the harm, may create the problems for ourselves and others. So this a range of feelings that includes anger. We see that from the embarrassment to excitement, disappointed, jealousy, fear, helpless, sadness, left out. So those are the feeling or the emotion that go hands in hands with anger. So now we discuss about types of anger. So it's many different types of anger. We can identify, or the psychologists uh, have identify them. The first one is behavior anger. The second one is the verbal. The third is passive anger. Four is self-inflicted anger. The fifth is chronic anger. The sixth is judgmental anger. The seventh is overwhelmed anger. Eight is constructive anger. Number nine is volatile angers. Number 10, retaliatory angers. 11, paranoid anger. The last one is deliberate anger. So let's look at the first one, behavior, anger. So it includes the aggressive and cruel actions. It inclines more on the physical aspect. So it usually implies an attack towards someone else, the subject of anger. So usually it's expressed through troublemaking, physical attack, and defense. So like someone try to intimidate or bully other people. So this is called behavior, anger. We show the attitude, we show violent attitude toward other people. And the second one, what we call verbal anger. So this type of anger is expressed verbally without any physical action, but still it's open to insert uh, other people with hurtful criticism, or someone try to accuse others of a crimes or wrongdoing. Is anything that relate to verbal abuse. We will cover that later on. So that the way they vent their anger through their speech, and of course that's be toxic too, that we need to recognize. And the third is what we call passive anger. So this kind of passive anger is considered as the mockery or through avoiding certain instant. So on the surface, they may show their happy face, but on the bottoms, and deep in their mind, they're so angry with those people or those situations. So they could cover that kind of angry attitude, a thought within themselves, so that they would not confront the people they have the conflict with. So that's mean passive anger. Basically, they show off their smiling face, but inside they so angry with that person or that situation. Self-inflicted anger, that means the anger is direct toward a person or body. That means they may cut themselves, they may starve themselves, they may punish themselves for something that they have done wrongly, or that other people have done wrongly to them, and so forth. This means they harm themselves basically because of anger. And this type of anger probably relate more with the teen, because they don't know how to express themselves. That's why somehow they harm themselves in the way that they want to express uh, in the violent ways. Mm. And the next one is what we call chronic anger. So people have this type of anger, just angry in general. No matter what happened, they still harbor that kind of emotions most of the time toward their lives, toward other people around them, toward the situations. So they are angry not because of any reason, but most of the time they have that kind of angry attitude verbal expressions, and so forth, without any reason at all. This is the cycle of the chronic anger. So first, they may see that something's intolerable. That means they say that I cannot stand it, and later on they try to use the judgment for inappropriate action or speak. That's why they try to have that type of reaction negatively with the angry thought. And the next one is what we call judgmental anger. That means they point the fingers to other people. When they is angry, they want to hurt other people, or they want to put the shame on other people around them, like their families, friends, neighbors, co-workers. They express the anger by putting down others, to slander others. Uh, so again, with this type of judgmental anger, so they try to make other people feel sad about themselves, or they may despair other people's abilities. So this form of judgmental angers uh, put other people around them with the feelings of worthless. Uh, so that is called judgmental anger. The next one is what we call the overwhelmed anger. This type of anger is on the people that had the situations happening around them that directly affect to their life. They usually slash out anything, anyone's, uh, without any reason, because they have so much stresses and pain within themselves. They just want to release that type of negative emotions or energy within themselves uh, toward other people. So no matter what happened to them, no matter what happened to others, they feel this type of overwhelmed anger. So that's why we see this type of people. They are hot-tempered people, and whichever thing we say, whichever thing we uh, communicate with them, somehow they still irritated. They feel angry on the spot most of times. So because they are overwhelmed with this type of anger, they cannot control themselves, no matter what things happening to them. With the little irritations could trigger their outburst anger on the spot because they're so overwhelmed for them. And the next one is constructive anger. This type of anger is that make people want to go out to join the groups or movement. They do because they want to change something. They want to correct certain situation, certain people. They want to make the policy change. So, like when the parents yell at a child who is going to touch the fire, at that moment, the parents was not angry toward the child, but because they try to protect the child from being burned. That's why they yell to that child. So that type of constructive anger could help all the people to stop from wrongdoing or to correct themselves. Again, somehow in our society, uh, we usually uh, use this type of anger to remind other people to stop from their wrongdoing, especially the one that follow our instruction, our guidelines, or the one that are under our care, like our children, our students, and so forth. But regardless, if we could not control our anger, whether it's constructive or destructive, when uh, the situation comes, at first we may thought that, oh, I yell to them so that they would not touch the fire to burn themselves. But somehow, uh, eventually, uh, that kind of anger may turn into the negative way or negative emotions if that person don't stop or don't follow our instruction or guide us. So that's why the Buddha reminds us that we need to be careful. No matter what types of anger, it's still toxic, it's still harmful. So the next one, what we call emotional anger. So this type of anger is the one that easily come and go. So depend upon the situations, depend upon the people that we interact with. It may uh, rate the situations where we have the mild anger toward the severe one. So we may have some kind of irritation first, and that situation could not go along with our wish, and of course we may burst into the serious anger. So that's why this type of emotional anger come and go. Uh, they fluctuated, depend upon the situation, depend upon how we deal with those situations, those people. And this type of anger may be expressed either by verbal or physical assault. So again, we have to be careful with this type of emotional problems, emotional anger. The next one, number 10, is retaliatory anger. This type of anger is most common one. So usually we get angry because other people are angry toward us. This depends upon the attitude of other people, what we call an eyes for an eyes. If they angry toward us, we thought that we have the right to be angry toward them too. So we think that we have the right to lash out them, to yell at them. Uh, yeah, otherwise, we would feel that we weak when they show that kind of angry attitude toward us. So again, depend upon the situations, one can retaliate it uh, toward the situation or toward some people. And the next one is the paranoid anger. This anger arises if we feel in an irrational way and that we are intimidated by other people. So we may feel or think that other people want to take advantage on us. They may abuse our rights, and that's why it's easy for us to have that kind of paranoid anger. So again, in daily lives, when we deal with other people, we may think, oh, this is so unjust. They treat us unfairly, and they intimidate us and so forth. That's why it's easy for us to have this type of anger, the paranoid anger. So regardless of the situation, regardless of who we encounter with, if we have this type of anger, so most of the time, any action, any speech that they point to us we would be paranoid. Yeah, that's why it's easy for us to have this type of anger, and sometimes we may be jealous with this type of anger because we may think they take away our pride, they may take away our spouse, our friends, or they may take away our position and so forth. That's why it's easy for us to have this type of paranoid anger. Um, so again, we feel that other people may want to take away our rights, want to dominate us. That's why we have this type of paranoid anger. The next one, what we call the last one, the liberated anger. That's been we try to control the situations. At first, we may not be angry, but because of the situations, because of the conditions of other people, we may think that we need to show our anger toward other people so that we uh, show them we are in the control, not being controlled by others. So that's why uh, outwardly we want to show that type of attitude, the angry attitude, deliberate anger toward those people that try to dominate or control us. So we show them that, yeah, we are in control, not you. So that is the types of what we call deliberate anger. Mm. So especially for the one who um, who are in the leadership position, uh, or the one that's our parents and so forth. If they think that their position are in danger, or people try to um, uh, overturn their power, so that's why they could show up that kind of deliberate anger toward those people, so that they could um, show themselves that, oh, I'm in charge, not you. So again, anger is like the mirror. It reflects our inner instability. If we are disturbed inside, then you'll be disturbed by outside. And anger make us blind. Uh, that's why the Buddha mentioned that anger is a form of toxic that we need to recognize and transform it. Without understand it, it's not easy for us to transform it. That's why we need to investigate or study further about this type of um, emotional problems. So again, in modern psychology, anger is a problem too. It's so go in line with the Buddha teachings that it is so harmful, it's so toxic when we harbor this type of emotion within ourselves. And anger is what we call the secondary emotion. That means we have the choice to have uh, this type of emotion or not. So we recognize that anger can harm us. Anger can lead to aggressions. Anger can harm people around us. Anger can disrupt school or relationship among ourselves. We may terminate our relationship with our spouse, with our friends, with our parents, with our children, and so forth, because of this type of anger. So if uh, we harbor anger uh, frequently, it may have that kind of intensity and last long. It may affect harmfully uh, to the quality of our lives, whether it's physical life, or mental life, or even the spiritual life. When we have that type of angers that harbor in our mind, when chronic explosive angers, spirit out of control, we would harm ourselves and others. And of course, physically, when we have some type of anger that just study above, we may feel tight, my, our stomach may get tight, upset, our heart is beating faster, we have cleansing fish, we feel that getting flushes, we feel the pressure on our temple, we have a sweaty palm, and so those are the signs that we can recognize when we're angry toward other people. Here again, we may have loud voice, we may raise our voice to yell at other people. We may have red face, we have upset stomach, we may be sweaty, we may have the racing and pounding heart, and so forth. So those are uh, the sign, the clue that um, uh, we can recognize when anger overcome our mind. And when we have the angry thought, we cannot focus much. It's easy for us to insult other people. It's easy for us to have the argument. It's easy for us to shut down our conversation with other people. Or we throw things around. We may be more aggressive. We may use profanity. We may cry. Uh, we cannot stop from thinking about the problems of ourselves and others. Again, so those are the warning signs that we can recognize when angry thought pop up in our mind. Here, the image, we see that we may floating around the chairs, the cell phone, even the computers, or we may smash things around, or we may kick around things, we may break anything, we call names of the other people that we don't like. We have the negative look at other people. We may spread rumor uh, about other people when we're angry. So again, those are the signs that we can recognize ourselves outwardly uh, when we have that type of anger. Mm. And of course, again, the consequence for having anger is that we may do physical harm to ourselves and others. We may strain our relationship with them. We may destroy the properties. You see someone when they are so angry, they may smash their cars. They may smash their laptop or cell phone, or they may lose uh, families or friends. We have heard some story that someone they shoot or kill their former employers, a manager, right after they were fired, or they lost their jobs if they could not perform the job well because of anger, or they have the hidden argument of fighting with their coworkers or their manager at work. So definitely, it's easy for them to get fired, to lose their jobs, and they may lose their social privilege. So they may go to the jail too if they could not control themselves to involve in the fighting, physical fightings or any kind of conflicts. They may get bad retribution and so forth. And again, uh, so with this kind of emotional thought, that's mean anger, it can lead to great the relationship problems. to have the substance abuse. They may drink alcohol, they may take drugs, and so forth. They may have low self-esteem in others. We can study later on that the steps that may induce our irritation, our anger toward ourselves and others. It may start with low self-esteem, that we want to show other people that we're strong outwardly, but inwardly we may be weak because of that type of low self-esteem. We will study later on. Again, when we have that type of attitude, we throw things around, we yell at other people, we call names other people, and so forth. Uh, so that's why we need to recognize this type of negative emotions, the anger. Otherwise, if we involve in the negative self-talk, we put ourselves down. We have that type of low self-esteem, or we may blame on other people our mistake, or we may take drugs. We may look for the fight when we feel injustice. We may feel other people treated unfairly. We may feel outraged because of those type of thinking, negative thinking. That's so harmful for ourselves. And when we're angry, we um, uh, may harm ourselves, especially while we are driving on the road. We may not care much about other people well-being, or even ourselves too. We may encounter car accident, we may have road rage and so forth with this type of negative thought, with this type of angry thought that harbor in our mind. And so again, so when something's not go along with our wish, we may blame on other people, uh, our mistake. We may not respect them. We may express our feeling in the negative way, in the violent way, or in the aggressive way. So we would not recognize uh, why we try to hurt other people. We try to put down other people, or we try to blame other people mistake. So again, anger is harmful emotions toward ourselves and others. And again, we have the choice whether we can be angry or not. So we need to recognize that and we can make that choice. So that's why the Buddhist say that anger is so toxic. Anger is the toxic of our mind that we need to overcome, that we need to transform it. Otherwise, when we harbor it in our mind, the moment that we harbor it in our mind, that moment uh, could bring the harm to ourselves and others. That's why the Buddha say that holding to an anger is like holding a hot coal with intention of throwing at someone else. And again, well, we are the one who get burned first before we throw that hot coal toward other people. And the Buddha say that to be angry is to let other mistake punish ourselves. That means when we could not control our mind because of that type of toxic emotions, um, we may yell at them, we may hit them, and so forth. And of course, eventually, we have to pay for that price. Even at first, they have that mistake. They may have done something wrongly, but we are the one who receive the bad distributions because of that type of aggressive or violent attitude or action toward them. So that's why the Buddha say that to be angry is to let other people mistake, to punish us. So again, the Buddha say that you will not be punished for your anger, but you'll be punished by your anger. So that means when we express ourselves violently and aggressively, uh, we have to pay for the price later on. And he say further that an outside enemies exist only if there's anger inside. That means we don't have any uh, uh, internal enemy until we have that type of toxic thought, the angry thought. That is the internal enemy. So when we have that type of negative emotions, um, we harm other people physically and mentally. That's why it is considered as our internal enemies that create the problems for ourselves and others later on. And so when it is possible uh, for us to calm our mind, we would have the peacefulness and happiness. Otherwise, would I say that when it's impossible for anger to arise within us, we would not find any outside enemy anymore. That means if we have peacefulness and happiness within our mind, we would not have any kind enemy at all. Uh, the enemies in Buddhist view is come from within, not from without. That's why we would not label anyone as enemies, bad people, bad or good, depend upon their state of mind. So if they have the negative state of mind, they create the bad karma that may lead them to the jail or to pay the retribution later on. So we see in our life, friends and foes come and go. One moment, if they have good attitude toward us, we may consider them as friends. Another moment, if they have bad attitude or harmful action toward us, we consider them as enemies. But again, our mind are fluctuated between good and bad thought, negative and positive thought. That's why in Buddhist view, um, the good or bad people is depend upon the state of mind. That person probably the first moment they may behave well, but the second moment, if they could not control the anger or any kind of negative emotions, they become bad person, or they may become criminals. So again, the Buddha said that enemies is within our mind, not without. So we have to recognize the state of mind of other people. We have to recognize the intention of doing things, not based upon how they look, not based upon their nationalities, not based upon their gender, race, and so forth. So that's why the Buddha reminds us that we need to transform our inner enemies, not to defeat or kill the external enemies. So again, the Buddha say that suppose an enemies has hurt us, uh, uh, so why should we annoy ourselves and hurt our mind in our own domain? That means, let's say, if someone try to hit us physically, or if someone try to have verbal abuse, that means they yell, they curse, uh, and so forth toward us. Yes, that's their action, and that's their karma. But for us, why do we need to harm ourselves with anger toward those people? Because that's the second layers of suffering we may have. And that's why I used to say that Dalai Lama, he mentioned that he's just a simple monk. Whether people praise him as a uh, uh, compassionate Bodhisattva or like the Chinese communists, they condemn him as a wolf that wear a yellow shirt. He still himself, no more, no less. So again, that's the way to show that we are more in control by our own action, our own mind, our own thought, not being led by others, not being controlled by others, action or speech. So that's why the Buddha said that if people try to hurt us already, it's now it's our choice to hurt our mind or not, or to the mind peaceful. So when they criticize or curse us wrongly, that's the problem. That is the karma. The important for us is to remain calm, to have that kind of peacefulness within our mind instead of being angry toward them. If we have that kind of angry thought toward them, that means we hurt ourselves, we harm ourselves in a long way. And the Buddha said that anger will never disappear so long as thoughts of resentment are cherished in the mind. Anger will disappear just as soon as the thought of resentment are forgotten. That means as soon as we harbor resentment within our mind, that we try to take the revenge, or we have that kind of angry thought, the one that harm us, and there's no way for us to transform the anger, and anger would not disappear. Uh, Anger disappear only when we forgive all of the mistake, when we let go of our negative emotion, when we let go of the resentment. So that's why the Buddha mentioned that we need to use compassion to transform our anger. We need to let go of resentment. We need to let go of the thought of revenge toward other people who have done uh, wrongly on us. And he mentioned further that there's no fire like affections, no crime like hatred, no sorrow like separation, no sickness like hunger, and no joy like the joy of freedoms. So here in this passage, the Buddha relate hatred as a crime, because when we have that kind of hatred, it's easy for us to do the crimes, to harm other people physically uh, and verbally. That's why we may end up in jail if we have that kind of thought. So we have to be careful when we harbor the hatred, the angry thought in our mind. Mm. And he said further that whoever does not uh, uh, flare up at someone else who angry win a battle, how to win. That means if someone angrily scold us, curse us, or harm us, but we don't return that anger with anger, that we can win the battle. And of course, this type of battle is hard to win because normally when we see other people treat us unfairly, when people yell at us without any reason, um, and so forth, it's easy for us to have angry thought toward them. So we think that we show to themselves that that's unfair for us to receive those kind of treatment. So again, the Buddha said that as long as we remain calm, not to retaliate it, not to have an eyes for an eyes, we would win that kind of battle. The battle of uh, shooting other people or yelling back other people with angry thought. Uh, So that's why the Buddha reminds us that it's so important for us to remember how to deal with the situation when we uh, have the angry thought. We need to recognize and transform it in one way and others. Otherwise, we would create the sufferings for ourselves and others. That's why the Buddha say anger is one of the roots of the problems, one of the roots of the sufferings. So if we could recognize and understand it clearly and truly, it's easy for us to deal with it. Otherwise, if we just try to cope up, there's no way for us to recognize why we so unhappy most of times. So that's the reason why we need to recognize again. We have the choice to express ourselves positively or negatively. We have the choice to remain calm or to irritate our mind with that type of anger. We have the choice because we are the owner of our life. We are the owner of our karma. We have the choice whether we want to yell back or hurt them back or to remain calm so that we would not create any kind of bad karma. So again, that kind of choice depend upon how we handle the situations. We need to uh, be owner of our feeling. We need to know how to express ourselves in a positive way, in a calm way, in a peaceful way, instead of uh, expressing ourselves in a violent way. That we need to pay the price later on. So no matter what happening, we need to recognize us. So again, there's many way for us to deal with anger. Later on, the Buddha provide what we call the a four paths uh, that um, instruct us how to deal with our mind, how to live our moral life, and how to uh, transform our mind. So there's many ways for us uh, to have that type of peacefulness within our mind if we know how to handle. Otherwise, it's not easy. So since time is up, I'd like to stop here today, and next time we can discuss further about this type of negative emotions that we need to transform it if we want to live peacefulness, uh, if we want to live with peace, calm, happy lives. Nam mô Shakyamuni Buddha.